Hey, welcome back for week number 3 in our Bad Advice series. I'm actually really interested in this particular phrase that we're going to be looking into today because I think it's something that we have all either encountered or will encounter in this life. Back in November 2017, I went on a trip to San Francisco with some friends that I had at Biola. And so we have one friend who's kind of from that area, but the rest of us hadn't really been there. Maybe we've been there once or twice, but we're not really familiar with San Francisco. But we were really excited for just kind of this awesome guys weekend that we were going to have. I was coming off of a crazy last semester at Biola, tearing my ACL, wedding planning, looking for a job. And so this was just like a nice little kind of getaway with guys that I had met, guys that were in my wedding, guys that have been supporting me for years now. And so I just was really looking forward to this trip. Our friend group is kind of interesting though, because the dynamics kind of always shift. But for the most part, there's always a couple of us, 2 of us, that are the planners, and I'm sure you probably know what I am. Me, I'm a type A, go-getter, love things to be in line kind of person. So there's always a couple of us that are planners. There's always like maybe 3 of us that are the kind of the go-with-the-flowers. There's usually one who every time we hang out has to be the best weekend ever. Our friend group is kind of a democracy, is we always like to make decisions together. Whether it's rock, paper, scissors, whether it's raising our hands and voting for the majority, but also allowing maybe the decisions that were made that didn't get enough votes to have at least a piece of what they were hoping for. And so, our weekend looked like going on hikes, going to the Golden Gate Bridge, going to expensive restaurants, going to cheap restaurants, and we had this great blast of a weekend. And the reason I kind of share this story with you is because our life is kind of like this, where our lives are more often than not, guided and molded and shaped by the people around us, people who have immense influence in our lives. And so if we don't have the right people for us in our lives, man, our lives can be really misguided. And unfortunately, we can endure a lot of drama or a lot of tough friendships in this lifetime that can be really hurtful. There's this phrase that we've been talking about a phrase every week, and so the phrase this week is "Don't leave your friends behind." I don't know if you've heard that before. It's often used like in the military when they say like "Don't no man left behind" or whatever. But this is a really popular phrase too. Don't leave your friends behind. I scoured the internet to try to find some Pinteresty phrases. And so right here, as you'll see, right here's some phrases that are gonna pop up, and they're often used all the time. Right, friends don't leave their friends for new friends. Right? Best friends just don't leave your side. Also, making new friends shouldn't mean losing old ones. And so I think like when you hear it on the surface, yeah, that kind of makes sense, right? Friends, they stick by each other, they're with one another through thick and through thin, no matter what. But I think the problem is that we don't always pick the right friends. We aren't always drawn to the friends that maybe God has intended for us to be with. And I know that you and I, we pick friends for a lot of different reasons. But it's something that I think we all encounter, and so I think it's something that is worth investigating. Is it okay to leave friends behind? Is it okay to leave old friends for new friends? Well, what good for us is that the Bible actually has a lot to talk about when it comes to friendship. And so, man, if you're asking yourself, hey, who are my friends? Are they good friends? My goal today is not to tell you how to have friends, how to make friends, to tell you who your friends should be. My goal today is to kind of move you into a conversation with yourself, to start to ask yourself, hey, 1, who are my friends? 2, what kind of friends do I have? And 3, man, what kind of friend am I? And so today we're just briefly going to look at the Bible and just kind of see, man, what does God say when it comes to friendship? And so the Bible has some things to talk about when it comes to friendships. John 15:13 It says this: "Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends." And so, right, we have this great depiction from Jesus about what friendship is, right? He is at the Last Supper with his disciples before he goes to the cross, and he leaves them this like little bite-sized advice when it comes to friendship. And this verse really shows that friendship is about love and it's about sacrifice. Right? Jesus, he called his disciples friends. And he was willing to go to the cross for his friends. He was willing to lay down his life for his friends because of how much he loved them. Because of his desire to sacrifice for them. And I think we get this great depiction of what true friendship is. And so maybe you've got to ask yourself, hey, am I really loved by my friends? Do my friends find ways to sacrifice for me? Maybe with their time, or maybe with their money, or maybe with their advice or their ears, right? Do they sacrifice things for me on my behalf? Do they make sacrifices for me? And then you gotta turn that mirror to yourself. Do you love your friends well? Do you make sacrifices for your friends the way that Jesus has made sacrifices for you and I? And as we look into this idea of love and sacrifice, ask that about your friends. Hey, if my friends aren't loving me well, if my friends never make sacrifices for me, are these friends worth keeping? Or maybe these are friends that I might have to leave behind as I move forward in my life. And I know that friendships they're hard. And friendships, man, they're really tough to lose. Growing up, I went to a bunch of different schools. I was often the new kid, right? A school for kindergarten through second, another school for third through fifth, another school for just sixth grade, another school for seventh and eighth. I was always the new kid, and so I know what it's like to lose friends. I know what it's like to leave friends behind, whether it was on purpose or whether it wasn't. And I know that it's difficult. But I know that the Lord has given me opportunities to be in great friendship and great community with a lot of different people. And I think that He's calling you and I to be in community, to be in friendship with people who love us well and people who make sacrifices for us. People who we can love well and people who we can make sacrifices for. And so I think that that's important to remember. It's kind of this like temperature on your friendships. Love and sacrifice. Is it prevalent? Is it often? Is it blossoming, this love and the sacrifice in your friendships, or is it really lacking? And if it is lacking, man, is there a way that these friendships can be salvaged? Is there a way that these friendships can turn around with love and sacrifice? I think it's something worth asking yourself. The Bible continues on to talk about friendship in Proverbs 27:17. And it says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." Like I said earlier, right, God has given you and I incredible opportunities to be in really good friendship. Not friendships that make us dull or bring us down, but friendships that bring us up. Friendships that sharpen us. Friendships that help us become more and more like Jesus. Right, Jonathan and David in the Old Testament is a great kind of example of what friendship is. Two guys who had great love for each other, who sacrificed so much for each other, who were constantly in community with each other, talking with each other, sharing their hearts with each other, being honest and vulnerable with one another. And I think that that's the kind of friendships that we ought to have. That I think we will always have acquaintances in this life. We won't be deep and close with everybody. But man, we should be close with someone. And hopefully, man, you can find a friend, a good friend, someone who loves the Lord just as much, if not more, than you do. Someone who's striving, and their whole kind of point in this life is to become more like Jesus. I love this verse in Ephesians 4:29 through 30. And it says, "Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." How do your friends talk to you? How do you talk to your friends? Are you kind? Are they kind? Are they constantly tearing you down, but maybe playing it off as a joke? More important, are they ever encouraging you in this life? Showing you compassion when you make mistakes? See, man, this is another kind of proponent of good friendship. People who open their lives up to you and say, you know what, this is me, and I want to bring you into my life. Someone who you can then be comfortable saying, you know what, hey, this is me too. All of my junk, all of my mistakes, all my flaws, all of my hopes, all of my dreams, everything that we get to bring in friendship. Again, it's so important to ask ourselves, hey, what kind of friends do we have? What kind of friends are we surrounding ourselves with that are going to mold and shape and guide us in this life? Right, some of the best friends that I've had are friends that have called me out when I was doing things wrong, when I was out of line. But they were also there for me when I was in difficult moments. And it's not only do they call me out, man, they've provided space and opportunity for me to step in and say, hey, I don't know if what you're doing is right. Hey, you know what? I think that God has something better for you. Friends who will swallow their pride and apologize for their mistakes instead of shifting the blame. Right? We need people in our lives that are going to be there with us in the good, the bad, and the ugly, that can be there with us in the best of times and the worst of times. And so I think that it's so incredible that you and I, when we have the opportunity every single moment of every single day to be in friendship with God, right? If we're going to want to figure out, hey, what is a best friend? Right, God, He is the ultimate best friend. He is Lord. He is the creator of the universe, but He is also friend. And we see that because He encourages us. He sticks by us. He brings to light our mistakes when we make them and is compassionate and quick to forgive them. He sacrificed Jesus, His only Son, so that you and I could be in friendship with Him. He truly is the greatest example of what it looks like to be a friend. The best kind of friends we could have are friends that are striving to become like Jesus. People who are on the same wavelength as it comes to your faith. And I think that God would be the first one to tell you, hey, have friends that don't follow me. Have friends that don't know me. It's okay to have friends that don't believe in the same thing as you. Because we see that Jesus, He did that all the time. But man, Jesus was always on mission to helping people who did not know Him, for helping people who didn't follow God. He was always on mission to helping people find and follow Jesus. Right? He was always on mission for them to come to know that they were loved by the Father, right? The creator of the universe who wants relationship with them. And I think that in our friendships, that should also be our mission. So when it comes to whether we should leave friends behind or not, I don't know where your friends are. I don't know what your situation is with your friendships. But I hope that you would start to really ask yourself, hey, you know, what kind of friends do I have? Do they love well? Do they make sacrifices? Are they kind? Are they humble? Are they encouraging? Do they know the Lord? Do I feel like I can be my whole self with them? Or do they tear me down? Or do I feel kind of bummed when I leave their presence? Or do I feel relieved when I don't have to hang out with them anymore? If you're in those kind of friendships, I think it's maybe time to consider, hey, you know what, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe it's time to rethink those friendships because it is okay to leave friends behind.